Welcome to the Even Better podcast, where your host, Sinikka Waugh of Your Clear Next Step, brings you exciting content about making communities better by helping people get even better at work.
And welcome to this edition of the Even Better podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. And I am so delighted to welcome back our guest and my dear friend, Dorice Horenstein. Dorice, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me for the second time. We sure have fun.
We do have fun every time we spend time together. It is always a joy. So for those of you who don't know Dorice, if you're listening in, two things I need to tell you. One of them is that you need to stay tuned and buckle up. If you're in your car, make sure you are buckled up because this is going to be high energy conversation. It always is. I have very recently described Dorice as joy with skin. She is just so full of energy and so full of life, and she is a resilient speaker, and I've encountered her on the speaking circuit a couple of years back, and just I know that when I spend time with Dorice, I am inspired, I am motivated, I have more energy to go about the rest of my day. I know that she brings her background in education, her background in positive psychology, her background in the things that she knows, and her real life experiences in helping people thrive in the moment that they're in. And so she's got great stories, and just a genuine person who shows up wholeheartedly in the moment that she's in. And it is my joy and my delight to make sure that you hear every word that she has to say. So Dorice, thank you for being here again.
Oh my God, I just have goosebumps with this kind of introductory. Oh my God, thank you so much. I've always connected with you from the first moment I saw you in, I think it was not Ohio, Iowa. I think it was an Iowa PMI. And I was like, okay, I need to connect with this woman, Sinikka. She seems like really fun, and I need fun, and I like fun. And she's also very deep and thoughtful. And so I love our connection. I love that we can, within seconds, go into real conversation and go deep and not stay in the surface, which sometimes, in relationships, you can't go with everybody deep down. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, Dorice. So we're here today talking about your new book. So you're going to a second book here. You're going to Choosing. Oh my goodness. I'm so proud of you.
I know. I must love torture because here I am. The first time I think that we had the conversation was about my first book, Moments of the Heart, and in combination with positive intelligence and me being a presenter and a coach and a trainer in positive intelligence. Well, life has evolved a lot because as I continue to coach and continue to present, one thing that kept coming up is the choices that people have to make and how hard it is to make the right choice. Some people get stuck and don't make any choice. They don't do any move. They make a choice in their mind, but it doesn't actually become a reality, that choice. So I was intrigued by that concept. And I thought to myself, over the last 2.5 years, I said, what is it about choice that sometimes people have a hard time making? Now, some choices, I call them eternal, like forever. You make a choice and it's forever. And some other choices are internal, right? Inside. So give an example, like an eternal choice is becoming a parent.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you can't say, all right, I've got that kid, I've been there, done that, go back. You can't do it. Once you have a kid, you got a kid. Now it's how you're going to move forward. And some choices are more internal, a mindset shift, a decision that you make about how you show up in this world, right? And another external, not eternal, but external is finding a different job or, moving to a different country, right? So there is all these choices. And as I was coaching people and living life, because we do live life, all of us, every day we live life, thinking, how are the choices that I make or the people that I see make, how do they work out? How often do we regret choices that we've made? If we chose to get angry or chose to stop a relationship. What is the effect of that later on? And I also realized that we are 100% product of our own choosing.
Mm.
And I think that's hard sometimes for people to come to terms with that, because they think, oh no, it's somebody else's fault that I'm this way or that way, that I chose here and I chose there. And I think in most of the cases, the choices that we make as adults are our choices. And it doesn't mean that it was the right choice. It doesn't mean that it was a good choice, but we become what the choices are. And, who said, you make one decision and it's a mistake? Okay, but if you make several decisions that are a mistake, you're actually choosing that. You're actually choosing choice. It's not that exact phrase, but it's something similar to that. And I think it is really true. So I sat over the last 2 years and start thinking about choice. I mean, no, right? Me sitting for the last 2 years. Never happened.
I've never seen you sit anywhere, Dorice.
Yes, usually I carve myself 2 hours every day to sit and think about things that are bigger than me, or not the urgent things that I need to get done. I have that time that usually it's like early in the morning. I get up. I have my little habit, my little structure, my little routine that I love. First of all, I work out.
Okay.
That's before I sit down. I work out because it's important for my physical fitness, because it helps my mental fitness working
Right.
out. So I always do that. And, and then I get ready for the day and then I sit. Now, I have the gift of older kids that are not longer in the house running around. So my house is for me and my husband. So when I need quiet, I have quiet. And in that quiet, not everybody has that choice. So I am very blessed that this is the right time for me to do this deep thinking. So I was thinking about it and I thought, if I can, and I think that I made good choices in my past. I mean, I have looked through my life. There's some good choices that I've made. The way that I came to America, the way that I received the education that I received, the work that I've done, when I left the work that I've been doing for 30 years in the education to do what I do now. All of them were choices that made me come more closer to my purpose and the meaning of life. So I thought to myself, Dorice, sit down and see, what is it that analyze without judgment of anything, how you make decisions and how do you choose the right thing. So I came up with this 6-word acronym, and the word is choose. So C-H-O-O-S-E.
Oh, okay. I see where we're going here. All right.
Yes. So the first step, and I want to take you through it, and we can play this along.
Yeah, let's do this. The first one is C. Okay, we're gonna start with the
Yes,
C.
just so you know, I was speaking at a youth leadership Rotary conference.
Oh,
And
yep, Ryla.
yeah, right, exactly. And I made them cards.
Oh, very nice.
And I divided you can see
I can
two
see it. Yeah.
See?
Yep.
And then I divide them into groups. And after I gave this introductory and all that, they worked in groups of 3.
Okay.
And they looked at each and every step as they were thinking about the choice they need to make. And then they said, which card is the hardest for them? Which step is the hardest for them? Which step is their go-to? Which one do they really want to stay longer in? And the steps that they have to do it consecutively. Sometimes you do it in another order, okay? But all of the elements need to be there. Sometimes you can do it within an hour and you know what the decision is. And sometimes you sit with one step for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is, until it settles in your system. So I want to take you through that steps. So the first one is the C, clarity. Clarity regarding the choice that you are going to make. And that means, first of all, realize, is this a choice that you make, or is this a choice that somebody else needs to make and you somehow butt yourself in? So is this choice? Sometimes we step into arena when it wasn't even our choice to make. And sometimes we think that we have the right to do that. So the first step is getting clarity and gathering the information around it. So what is it, the choice? Is it mine? Is it theirs? What is the fact on the table? And for that, in the book, it is more of the education piece. I talk about the saboteurs. I talk about the sage. I talk about a PQ format. I talk about what is a PQ. So because you can't make a decision or a choice that is for you without understanding what it is. So in the book, in that clarity section, I bring that piece of knowledge, understanding who you are in that process of making that choice. And by the way, in the book, each step has several entries, anywhere between 5 and 7 entries. And after each entry, similar to Moments of the Heart, there is your choosing moment question.
Oh, lovely.
And,
yep.
And then those questions and other supplement material is appearing in a workbook that everybody that purchased the book can download the workbook edition. And in the workbook edition, there is the assessment that they can take. There is even an audio link that people can listen to a PQ session with me, recording it, that I recorded it. So the workbook is very rich with materials and supplement readings for them if they choose. Yeah, I think it's really lovely. And so that is the first step. The first step is, okay, let's get clarity. So here it is. So I can show you that the clarity step is your opportunity to achieve a clear understanding of the decision at hand and gather relevant information. Understanding your why exposes the underlying reasons for considering this choice. So ask yourself, why is this decision or this choice needs to be made right now?
Yep. No, that makes really good sense. So it's funny that not funny like it, not funny, haha, but consistent that you and I would have such strong bias for clarity as being such an important first step, right? So even in the name, Your Clear Next Step, this is what we do. We help people move forward in what they're doing. But the brand name, Your Clear Next Step, it's your step, not mine, right? It's always helping others. It's your step, but you have to have clarity before action. It's your clear next step. You have to have clarity before you figure out what's next. And it's your next step, the very next thing you do, and then you can help take action. But I'm right there with you. Clarity has to be first. You got to get clear on what you're trying to do and why.
And why. So, don't we love each other, how our brain works?
I love it.
I just wildly,
wildly supportive. All right.
Wildly supportive. Okay. The second part is the H.
The H.
And the H stands for honor. Honor the feelings that you have at the present moment. Because sometimes it may not be a choice you want to make, right? Sometimes it's a difficult choice that you may feel like I have to make it, but it doesn't feel right. You're sad. You are, there's maybe a place of regretting, maybe a place of shame in there. So honoring the awareness that you have in making this choice and respect those feelings. Don't shove them down, because what I've noticed in my life when I say, oh, I have to do such and such, but then I have this resentment inside and I try to shove it down, the choice is never a good one. So the important part here is once you get clarity, honor your feelings. You pay attention to them because that small voice is talking to you. And often we regard what other people say intuition or something that is a small voice that speaks, but we're not willing to hear it. So in that, honor your feelings about that and speak about that and converse about that with a coach, with a friend, with your spouse, with your partner, with your children, whatever that your support system is. So that to me is needing. And so in every step, I use a different sage power. And this one is the power of empathy. The first one was the power of exploring. exploring what is going on. The second phase, the honor, is the empathy. Have compassion, love, empathy to where you are now. Okay. And love yourself even through that struggle of making that choice, because that choice sometimes may be a hard choice to make. I've known some clients and friends that have a really difficult choices that they needed to make. So honor those feelings. Understand, feel the knot in your stomach, and understand why is it there. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the second.
Your feelings are your feelings, and you're allowed to have those, and I love that word, honor them. They're coming from the richness of who you are, and it's okay to have them. That your feelings are valid, and they're part of what makes you you and authentically you, and bring them to light, voice them, feel them.
Feel them.
So
And yes, and so then is my positive intelligence hat on. Positive intelligence, we call it PQ. It normalizes negative feelings that people have. The task on us is to own it and to understand again the bigger why of what is behind this. What is behind this that makes me feel in that certain way? So we don't want to say, oh no, don't feel those negative feelings. Honor them. It's normal, it's human. And then say, now what? And for that, now what, we go into the third step, which is the first O. And the first O is openness to options. Openness. You know, what is other opinions? Maybe there's other choices. Where is your curiosity in this choice making? There is a lot of opportunities that people have, but sometimes when we are in a tunnel vision, we're unable to see what else is out there. And that has to, of course, do with our mental fitness. The more we are sabotaged, the more we have saboteurs on us, the less we are able to explore other options, because the place in the brain where options are is the right side of the brain. It's in the middle precortex of your brain, right? The middle. So in that empathy circuitry. So what happens there is when we are sabotaged, we're operating more on the left side of the brain, right? In the brainstem, in the limbic system. So how do we then move? And in that place, in the openness, we also have to use the innovate game. And when you do the innovate game, according to intelligence, the innovate game is without judgment, right? That's the openness, that we do not allow the judge to interfere, because the judge will make us feel blame, shame, guilt, anger all this time, and it will suck our energy from actually doing the thing we need to do. So in that place of openness, like, be curious. I mean, is there only one choice ahead of you, or there are other things that you may have not considered?
Right. What are all those options?
What are all those options? Yes. So I call it covering the hidden factors, because we have them, right?
Yeah.
And now
and you can't get to that. So I'm gonna pause for a second here, because you can't get to that. You can't get to that openness to options unless we've gone through that really important stage of empathy, of honoring the feelings. And I want to go back to that one for just a second, because it's not enough to just say, oh, I have these feelings. You almost have to work with them, to voice them. And I'm going to make that distinction here, thinking about some really painful exercises that I may have gone through or worked with others through in these kinds of decision making. With that, it's not I am ashamed, but I am feeling feelings of shame, or I have feelings of shame. Where are they coming from? What's the source there? Wrestle with that so you can set it aside and then get to the options, right?
I love that. I love that. Coming back to the root, and I always say it in you've listened to me for, I think, a couple of talks that I've given. I always go back to the champion that we all are inside. And the events in our life sometimes clutter this realization that we are a champion. So honoring our feelings, allowing us to feel those negative emotions, and at the same time saying, Is that all there is? Can I, even with those negative feelings, I am here a priceless, indispensable, amazing human being that have so much to contribute, because I use that empathy, that love toward me, that I am worth it.
I'm
Whatever
worth
that
it.
is, I'm
Yep.
worth it.
Yep.
That to me is amazing. So then we go to the
Yep.
second
The
O.
second O. Okay.
Yeah, because there's choose. The second O, oneness. Oneness. Are you in one and unity with the choice that is right now in front of you?
Mm.
Are you in line with your awareness? Are you having coherent within yourself? Do you feel, when you make this choice, do you feel a sigh of relief a little bit? Like, that's it. It feels right in me. In Hebrew, the word oneness means shlemut, which means whole, to be whole. In that phase of the oneness, do you feel whole? It's more deep down into your soul, and understanding that you can't control anything else around you but you yourself in that choice that you're making. And I think that to me, I think to me, this is one of the most important part of making a choice, is how do you feel inside of you?
Mm.
And that has to do with that trust that we talked about earlier before we got live. And that has to do with that faith. And that has to do with finding the meaning and the purpose in where we want to find ourselves. And the sage power that we use in this part of the traveling through the journey playbook is the navigate. Meet yourself 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, and ask a question. Is the choice that I'm making right now aligned with my purpose of being on this earth? Does it ring and feel right inside of me? And listen to your body, because our bodies send us messages all the time, all the time. And sometimes we don't listen to those messages of our
Oh,
body.
for sure.
So,
For sure.
that is that impact of that choice in a way that is extremely internal.
Oh, that's so interesting. So one of the other podcast guests that we had, Yana Methoda, was talking about the power of dreams, and that when we are not at one, when we are not at peace, when we're not at ease, when we're not aligned and centered with ourselves, that disturbance, that disrest, that discomfort will often show itself. I mean, this is not new. I'm not saying anything that we don't know, and we haven't known for eons, right? We've known this forever, but it'll often manifest itself in disturbance, right? It'll show up in our dreams, and it'll show up in disrest, and it'll often show up in our physical discomfort. We know this, right? We know this. And so this idea of oneness, this idea of oneness, are you comfortable? Are you like calling a name to? I love that you've done this, Dorice. I love that you're calling it out. You're saying, okay, hang on. You made it halfway through. You took your first three. Now stop. Now stop and pay attention, self-aware, be mindful. Be mindful of this divinely created self that you have in all of yourself. Are you there? Are you wholly centered with this choice? Are you at peace?
Are you at peace? Are you at peace with that? And isn't it the word for peace in Hebrew is also come from the same root as the word whole?
Mm, of course it would.
It's the same word. Peace and whole is the same. So understanding that, and then going and visiting back also the honor your feelings, right? There's a connection between being in oneness and honoring those feelings. And then understanding what is the impetus, what is the source, the seed of those feelings, if they were feelings that are stemming out of fear, let's be in the oneness stage and says, what are we really afraid of? What is really stopping us from making that step, making that choice, making that decision? And I think being in that place aligns you. And I love that it is literally in the middle of the choose. It's in the middle. Step number 4.
Okay, before we go there, so I'm gonna pause for just a second. If you have just been listening to this and you've been driving, make sure you didn't miss your exit because you got so enwrapped in this that you forgot where you were going. So pay attention, look around. Are you still on the right road? If you have, if you're just sitting there listening and you're going, wait, what am I doing? You are here on the Even Better podcast, and you're here with Dorice Horenstein, and this is just such a joy. And if you're loving this, don't forget she's got another podcast that she's done with us. So go back and listen to that as well.
Hang tight, we'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by Your Clear Next Step and the Changemaker Certification Program.
Would you like to save time by solving the right problem sooner with a realistic and measurable plan? Reduce overwhelm by finding more sustainably productive ways to work? Improve employee morale by creating more positive workdays from within? Stay competitive by tightening your turn or increasing your agility in adapting to changing customer demands? If you said yes to those things, then we have the solution for you. You'll get 8 full-day virtual sessions over 10 months, plus 6 hours of one-on-one coaching, 8 hours of intentional networking, and 8 hours of personal reflection. The growth that we've seen is absolutely unparalleled. Our participants of prior cohorts have remarked about how phenomenal their results have been.
Interested in becoming a changemaker? Give us a call at 515-442-0545.
We are making our way through choosing the 6-step playbook for making the right choice for you. This is a book this is her second book, and she's released it. I'm so excited to be part of this conversation. So we were at C.H.O.O.S.E, that we're on the second O, and we are just moving now. Okay, now go ahead.
Now we are into the S, okay?
Yes.
In choose, we have an acronym, choose, C.H.O.O.S.E. So now we're at the S. And the S is strategy. Strategize your success, right? You make a choice. It is time to choose, and you've chosen. First of all, what have you chosen? That's number 1. And then what are the implications of this choice? Who needs to be aware of this choice? Who do you need to bring into this choice? Sometimes it's a choice that have ripple effects on other people. Bring them in rather than make your own choice and then hope that they hear it, right? Number 2, what is the timeline of executing this choice? Right? Because you can just say, oh, I choose this, but then you do nothing. Strategize your success.
Yeah.
And then see, in that place is like, when you start talking about this choice you've made, how does your speaking impacts you? You're speaking about this. How does it impact you? Does it give you more positive energy? Do you feel more elevated? Pay attention again to those feelings in the other steps, right? Because it comes back. It's always around. It's always around. So to me, that is a really imperative part. Strategize and also realize, are you being influenced right now by something else or someone else when you make that choice? Is this choice is completely yours, or are you saying yes to something that doesn't feel right, but you feel that you have to say yes to that?
It's so interesting that you would choose a strategy here. So I'm going to go back to the name of the company, right? Your Clear Next Step. So next, this is what's your plan? What's your plan for what's next, right? What's your strategy? But then I look at, of course, as a career project manager, of course, we're going to talk about what's your plan, what's your strategy, and who do you bring along? Who are those stakeholders? Who else is impacted? And communication. That is the pillar, the foundation of good success. Who else do you need to be talking about, and how do you talk about it, and how do you message this throughout, both in your own words, because words matter? How do you talk about it to yourself, and how do you talk about it to others? I like, good heavens, of course, I love this. This is so beautiful.
And then realizing that the choice that you made has a consequence, right? It has consequences. Choices have consequences. Good, bad, indifferent, whatever, but they have consequences. So develop that plan that is clear action of what you want so that you achieve success. So strategize the choice, but have in mind that you want to be successful. So how do you turn that into success? And success is a big word, right? Success can be, is it financial success? Is it emotional success? Is it a peace of mind, which is very much a success in nowadays? So just understand. And then that means go back and be clear of what is it the choice, right? So you can see that how these choices are intertwined in these steps are intertwined in one another, and they reinforce and strengthen the other things. So that's the S. Now we are coming into the last letter, and that's the E.
That's the E. All right, let's do it.
It's enactment and execution of the plan. So enactment, execution. I originally said only execution, but then I don't know, maybe it's my Jewish upbringing, and I'm thinking execution. I'm thinking, Holocaust, and then I'm thinking bad in my head, and then I'm like, okay, I need another word. Maybe that's enactment, like act on your action kind of thing. So I'm not, but that's the idea. The idea is, what is your first step, and can you do it, and when are you going to do it? Right? That's timeline. Now, what is it? And then realizing as you execute that, what can be stopping you from achieving and executing this choice? What is stopping you? A lot of the time, it's our own saboteurs, right? Sometimes maybe we weren't clear about it. We didn't bring other people into the decision making, and therefore we can't move on the execution. So go back and say, where did I miss the boat here? What piece in this puzzle did I not place correctly? So that implementation of that action is really the most important part, right? Because when you do coaching, if you don't lead a client into then for them to make their own actions, then what are we still talking? What are we here? I don't like to waste my time or anybody else's time for that matter. So chop,
let's do it. Let's go.
Let's do it. That's the let's go. Execute. Let's go. And then also realizing in the execution, be sensitive and forgiving to yourself, because sometimes you will execute and it will be miss the bullseyes. Okay. Most of the choices we can try again. We can do something again. So don't feel, okay, I did it. It didn't work out. This whole thing is bad.
Right.
The baby with the baby bath. No. like focus here. Focus, right? So so this is the 6-step playbook for choosing and making the right choice.
I love it. So let's go into the E enactment. So your clear next step, right? The S. So it's yours, not mine. It's clear, get clarity before action. Next, make your plan for what's next. And then step, you have to take that step. Like you have to do it, right? The name of the company, Dorice, I've been doing this for 16 years. I support you wholeheartly. It's all there. This is, we celebrated our 16th anniversary like 2 weeks ago. Yes. 100%. Yes, 1,000 times. Yes. You are. Yes. I love where you're going with this.
Okay. When my book is not yet out, right?
Okay.
Because I'm still working on that, and it's in beta testing. Testing. And even last night, I tweaked some things. Today, it's early in the morning. I had to go to lead the service and welcome somebody to Judaism, and then I'm here with you. So I haven't had my 2 hours yet to go through this, but I'm going to. But here's what I'm going to do. First of all, I'm going to send you a gift, and that's all the cards that I have for you to play this with anybody around, and then give me feedback. I would love that. And number two, when the book is out, or maybe even before, when it's really ready for publishing, I'm sending you the manuscript as a gift, and then I'll send you a hard copy.
I'd love that. I would absolutely love that. I'm so excited for you. So excited for you. I'm thinking about on the decision making, because you talked quickly about the decision making and the coaching that we do. There was a LinkedIn post that came out a number of years ago, and I cite it in a lot of the training that I do. It led with this quote. It had a picture of frogs, and it led with this quote: 5 frogs are sitting on a log, and 4 decide to jump off. How many are left? And I'm like, well, I was never great at math, but I feel like I can handle that. 5 frogs sitting on a log, 4 decide to jump off. How many are left? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can do this one. But you get to the next page and the answer is 5, because deciding to jump and jumping are 2 totally different things. And it's such a powerful reminder that enactment, that execution, you can't just decide to do it. You have to actually do it. I can decide to execute. I can decide to enact. That's great. I can decide all day all day long. But if I don't actually jump, if I don't actually do, the thing's not going to happen. The choice isn't going to get made. The plan isn't going to get executed on, and I'm not going to be any better off than I am right now.
Exactly. So in the book, I took each step, and inside each step, I put different entries of different choosing to lead, choosing your vision, choosing your thought, choosing empathy, choosing not to be Alexander, which is based on a book, that Alexander had a very bad day.
The terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day.
Yes. So I have that entry. So, and then I have tips and tools and practices so that you're more empathetic, so that you're not Alexander, so that you are kind, so that you feel that you are light in the world. And the very last entry is choosing to change, because that's what it all is about. Choosing to change is agreeing that change is something that even happens to our skin, right? Our skin changes. It peels and new skin. So if the outside of us changes, why not the inside? Why not open the inside to some of the changes that we want to see in the world and in us? Start now. So that is my end of my book. And it just takes choosing resilience is another one. I mean, there's all sorts of topics within each section that I put in, thinking that will fit most, very nicely in that particular unit. And so that's the book. The layout is very similar to Moments of the Heart, that it has an entry and then it has your moment of Lev moment reflection. This one has more detailed, it's deeper, and then it has the moments of choosing and really asking you to engage in that choice. And how does it feel? Choosing not to gossip, choosing the things that could be good in a professional setting, as well as your own private life. Choosing to move on, choosing to let other people help you, so all sorts of choosing that I have. And I had over 40 choosing, and it is overwhelming for people to see all these. So I am right now in the place where I am tightening the belt. So we're getting smaller in size so we can fit, so we can go deeper in and not have the reader feel overwhelmed.
Maybe fewer. So I love the idea, as you have more resources available online, maybe fewer in the book, but more like just a list of here are all these kinds of choices, that the 40 or more available on the web resources. Fewer in the book, but more.
I love that. I love that idea. I didn't think about that. You just opened my mind to a whole new thing, because, as a writer, as an author, you feel like this is your baby. So it's like, why would I take one word out of there? I don't want to take one word out of there. All that words are going to be in, even if it kills us all. And the thing is, it doesn't have to have all of it for the meaning to come through. So how do I still keep that energy and meaning strong, but without doing it for so long?
Right.
Laser. So this is the challenge. This is the challenge, because I feel like, just I felt in the first book, it's a pregnancy, and I am right now, not 9 months pregnant yet, but 8 months. And it's not very comfortable. I was like, okay, it's summer. I'm 8 months pregnant. Can we be done? But then, as we all know, good things take time to come to fruition. I know it from the first book, and it's no different with the second book. So, you're in. I'm in for it, and it will be great. And my wish is for every conference to purchase that book for the conferences that that I'm invited to. That would be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing. Besides, of course, being on Amazon and all these other sites,
Right.
it would be really wonderful because it will set up a new culture at work and home. It's a positive book about,
That's
yeah. So I'm excited.
really, really lovely. Oh, I'm excited for you. I can't wait to see how you continue to move forward in this journey, Dorice. It's so
Thank
lovely.
you.
Thank you for sharing this with me.
Always a pleasure being here with you. Always.
Such a joy. So this would not be the Even Better podcast if I did not ask my trademark question. What's making you even better these days?
Even better these days. First of all, right now, that made me even better. Just being here with you in a time when the world is not very predictable and there is some negative things happening in the world and in my own country of Israel. So that started my absolutely beautiful morning. And so I thank you because you make it even better for me today. Yes, absolutely. And having said that, I think what will make me even better is in light of what's going on in the world and in light of even in the United States and in our own lives, there's so much bubbling under the current. You can see bubbles under the current. And I think what makes me and will continue to make me, and I need to continue practicing that, is patience. Patience, and knowing and believing and having faith that things will turn out to be okay. And it's that patience that sometimes I don't have, and I want the results yesterday, like why wasn't happening yesterday? That is the practice of, I think, ultimately in life, is to be patient and work hard, do the things you need to do, make the choices, do the enactment, and at the same time, be patient with results and be patient with what life is bringing our way, because it's not only our time, it's time, whatever above us tells us. And that's, of course, marrying into the faith and the belief. And that's exactly how we started this talk today. Maybe before starting our recording, is that faith and that belief and that trust that allows us to be patient and to knowing that things will be okay.
Oh, that's so beautiful. What a great way to wrap us up. Dorice, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you.
It
Always
was a
fun.
joy. It was a joy. And for those of you who are listening, thank you so much for listening in. And on behalf of all of us here at Your Clear Next Step, we hope the rest of your day is even better.